Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the debate of the week. Now this is the rebuilding of the knockouts part 2. Now I'm going to be telling you who I would pick to be heels, faces, managers. Heel managers, face managers, and I'll roughly talk about a possible storyline for some of these people. Now I'm sure, and there was one person who did actually comment on my video about what to do to rebuild the knockouts part 1. And that person, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name, dude. I'm sorry, don't get mad. But I am thankful that you were even willing to comment. But this gentleman said simply, why are you bringing in someone from the WWE? Who cares about the WWE? They're just hoes anyway. I'd rather see people from the independents. I understand that. But this is the key about this. You see, to rebuild a promotions division, no matter if it's female or male, you need to bring in people who will make a good foundation and keep the people you believe will help that foundation as well. You need to build a solid base to build on top of to bring new people in. If you bring entirely new people, does not mean you're going to make it work. You need to have some legends there, some more experienced and veteran wrestlers or managers to make sure that the vision actually grows. If you bring in all new people, doesn't always mean it's going to work. I'm trying to build a promotions division up using people that have been known that are who left both the promotions, WWE and TNA, who are from both promotions, WWE and TNA, and a few people that have not been seen that's already in the promotion. And I'm trying to build them back up. It's important to do this because if you don't start from somewhere, you can't grow. So these are the people I'm going to be mentioning. I'm going to be doing the heels first, then the faces, then the managers, heel and face. And I will be leaving a list of each group together, one after the other. And I should be also putting an extra line for the extra people I bring in, because the people I'm also going to be mentioning here, they're not in the original list on part 1. Extra people I'll hire. So first, heel. Person I'm going to be saying is a person that should have been flipped a while ago from face to heel. And I'm talking about Mickie Jane. She has been a face since maybe 2007 or 8. She hasn't changed from a face from WWE to TNA. She hasn't. She's been the same for a very long time. And she's beginning to get stale. So I would flip her from face to heel. Who I would have her challenge, like I said, I'll roughly talk about as many people as I can at the end of this review. But she would be the first person I would flip. It's important to flip her. Now another person that is still on the roster, just like Mickie Jane, is Terrell. And I would keep her as a heel, but I wouldn't make her chicken shit. I would separate her from Jessie. Right now, they're together. The gimmick isn't that great, but I would separate her and make her completely separate from Jessie and work on her own. We know when she used to be Victoria, she used to be a badass heel. So I would give her back a little bit of that Victoria attitude. She was good at that. She's not really allowed to do that. I mean, when she was working with the Beautiful People and Madison Rayne, who is not on this list, who's on the first list, who I would kick out because she's not that great, I thought that she could have been allowed to do more, and she didn't. Now, the next person who is a face right now in the company I would flip heel would be Velvet Sky. And the reason I'm saying this is that she's a better talker than she is a wrestler. Sorry, I'm a little sick. You know, I'm sure a few people would say then make her a manager. I could make her a manager, but I thought that she is not as great of a wrestler than she is a talker, but she still can wrestle. She could at some times be a jobber, but it doesn't mean I would make her a jobber. I would rather have her have like a Piper's Pit or Cutting Edge type of character. In other words, I would let her talk more than I would have her wrestle. And then I would have her have a segment in the ring similar to a Piper's Pit or a Cutting Edge or a highlight reel. Let a person who's not her strongest suit or his strongest suit as a wrestler, do it in other ways. She doesn't have to become a manager. From time to time she could wrestle, but I would have her, from most of the period, basically do in-ring segments as a show. Let her be as she is. She's a much better talker. She's not the best talker amongst the women, but she's good. Now the next person I would bring as a heel, and who's from the outside, who's from the WWE, Natalya. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a disenfranchised wrestler from WWE. Look how she was in 2010. She was in the Hart Dynasty. She was doing very well. Now what did they make her do? They made her job like crazy. They made her fart like crazy for no apparent reason but to insult her family. And in the end, what is she doing now? Dancing with Khali. Please, this is a person that screams, I want justice. I'm being treated like shit. Bring me in. This could be a perfect character for her because she would really feel disenfranchised. She's a very good wrestler. She is. She's from the Hart Dungeon. You could see anybody. David Hart Smith. You could see Tyson Kidd. You could see her. And anyone else who had been trained in the Hart Dungeon, they actually do know how to wrestle very well. Mike's skills isn't the greatest, but it doesn't mean she can't still get over as a heel. She can. And that is the person that I would be very happy to have as a heel. Next, two people I'm mentioning. They're already on the roster, but they're not really seen it almost at all. One is Hendrix. I can't pronounce her first name, and I'm not going to try because I've already tried 3 times doing this recording, and I keep botching her first name, so I'm just going to call her Hendrix. T. Hendrix. I'll leave it at that. We don't really know how far she's going to go, so I would leave her as, I would make her as a heel, because I haven't seen her, so I don't know if she's a heel or a face. So I would make Hendrix a heel. The next person is SoCal Val. I would make hers also as a heel. Putting both of these people as heels, 1, it makes it easier for them to get over. 2, it gives you a chance to periodically have them do some face stuff to see if the people might get over with them. 3, starting as a heel, and if it doesn't work, they can always go back to face. Starting as a heel, they can go to face and always go back to heel. That usually periodically happens with wrestlers. They let them come in as heels, straight. Sometimes they'll let them show inklings of possibly turning face. And if the crowd doesn't get over, they can flip them back to heel. That's how you do it with newcomers. And those two as newcomers you can. The next person I would bring in, who used to be on the TNA roster, you know her, you love her, Rosita. That short little piece of ass that everybody loved. She's a gorgeous looking woman. But I would bring her in as a heel. She was very good as a heel. She's a small woman. She's feisty. She's fiery. It would make perfect sense. With no arguments or complaints. Sorry, my paper keeps peeling. This is important to have. You need to have, in this case, enough heels to work with your faces. I know it sounds like there's way more heels than there's going to be faces. That's true. But sometimes the bad guys have to gang up on the good guys to get over. Now, the last person I'm going to mention here, and she's interchangeable, and I'll be mentioning her more than a few times through the different groups I'm mentioning here. This woman, who was in WWE, who's not in it now, who had many love interests actually in the WWE, would be brought in. And I know you're going to say, once you hear her name, she'll never come to TNA. I'm not saying that you're wrong. But this is who I would try to bring in. If I was a promoter of TNA, and I'm rebuilding my knockouts, I'm going to say, you know what? I know there's a good chance this woman's going to say no. But I must try. Because I need the best product I can have to make sure not only my bills get paid by the people that I pay to keep everything running, the people who wrestle for me, the people who take care of my wrestlers, and to keep my fans happy. I'm going to bring in whoever I can, and this person, I believe, has such star power and controversy, she would be perfect. Lita. Lita would be brought in. Yes, and I'm sure you're going to say, man, she'll never do that. It's not the point. The point is, like I said, I would do whatever I can to bring someone in, and I would do my best to try and get Lita. If she did come in, Lita, to me, would make a great heel. Just like Natalya, she is disenfranchised. She got treated bad at WWE. She had a bad falling out with Matt Hardy. And then, even though they got past it somewhat, they actually played it out on television. Seriously, the real story of Adam, of Lita, and of Matt was literally played out in a story of their real life. There was still a little bit of animosity between these three people in real life. They weren't too happy what happened, that Lita hopped from Matt to Adam, who was Edge. That was something that not many people could actually handle. They couldn't believe it was actually real when they found out. They thought it was a work. It wasn't a work. There was still a little bit of animosity. Right now, I understand that Adam and Matt are still talking to Lita. They worked out their problems between each other. I don't know if Adam and Matt are talking, Edge and Matt Hardy. There's a possibility they may have settled some of the differences. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. But you know what? It's not the point. The point is she would be the one I would bring in. Flat out. As a heel, Lita would have controversy behind her. People would probably still be pissed off at what happened in WWE with her. And that would make heel heat. And that would bring up ratings and would bring people into seats to see if she could get her ass kicked. That is important. Now, that is 8 women I just mentioned that would be your heels. That's not a bad list right there. Now, these are the women I'm going to be talking as faces. The first person that is on the face list, and she is someone that's being brought back to TNA who pretty much is an original, Angelina Love. Yes, Angelina Love would be brought back to TNA. I would make her face. She was always good. People loved her. She's beautiful. She's sexy. She had one hell of a nice boob job. I wouldn't have a problem with her. Even though her hips aren't as wide as I would like, it's not the point. I'd be happy. But it's not the point. I'm sorry. I kind of wandered off. I'm talking about a lot of good-looking women. But still, Angelina Love was a 4-time Knockouts, I believe 4-time Knockouts champion. She's good in the ring. She's a good talker. She has good star power. She's not forgotten. People would cheer to see her back. Now the next person will be Miss Tessmacher. She's already on the roster. She's gotten well over as a face. Leave her as face. Do not change her. There's no need to. There's no need to change her as a face. We just got to make sure she gets some decent storylines, which I'm going to try and describe at the end of this video. I'm happy having her as a face. The next person who used to work with the little Spitfire that we know as Rosita. Sarita. Yeah, baby. I bring Sarita back. I would bring her back for the simple fact that Sarita has been around a long time. People always liked her. People always loved her. And we know it is important to have a great, great, great face. From what I saw, she can do a pretty good face. Now, the next person on this list, and the names are kind of mixed up. I thought talking about the originals first from TNA is more important than talking about the people bringing in. And this is the person I'll be bringing in, who's recently been fired in the last couple of months. Beth Phoenix. Yes, Beth will be brought into the TNA roster. Beth is a former fitness and bodybuilder. She has a great muscular look, like Natalya. Natalya is not a small woman. Natalya and Beth, who did the Divas of Destruction, which was the most stupidest thing. They didn't pursue it properly. They had 2 big-ass divas that could have kicked the ass everybody, and they didn't allow them. TNA would be totally different. But at this moment, I would keep them separate. Have one as a heel and one as a face. Beth would be brought in as a face. I know I could have interchanged Beth with Natalya, but I wanted to leave it like that. Because I felt right now you need a strong face on the roster. One that's not only not bad in the ring, not bad looking, who's not bad on the mic either, but who really, if she was allowed to still do the glamazon move, glamazon look, and feel she would be a very strong get-over. And lastly, as I said earlier, a person that could be interchanged in any position would be Lita. I know I said Lita would be a heel. She can be, but doesn't mean she couldn't do a good face as well. She had a Jeff Hardy type of attitude at one point in her time when she faced Victoria. She really was very good at that. Wild headbanger, she had that attitude. I would have her as a face if I didn't have her as a heel. That is how we do it. Now you've already gotten the heel wrestlers. Now you have the face wrestlers. Now I'm going to be talking about the managers. Now understand the managers here. Two things. They could be interchangeable between managing and wrestling. But most of the time I'm going to be managing. Now I will be talking about the heel managers first. I like heels. The first person I would make a heel, and she's from the outside, Alicia Fox. I know you're going to say, you must be fucking with me. You want to make Alicia Fox a TNA manager? Yes. What would be wrong with having a TNA manager who's black and who could still wrestle, and from at any time she could win a title? And Alicia Fox, you can say a lot about her. She's not a great wrestler. She's not a great talker. She's a good-looking woman. But she's never been utilized in the place that she can do the most work. And she needs to be put in as a manager. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Having Alicia Fox as a manager mostly and wrestle periodically will have a good combination. And it doesn't matter if she's with women wrestlers or men wrestlers. It doesn't matter. I would leave it open for the wrestling managers. Flat out. There will be managers straight. But for the wrestling managers, most of these women will probably wrestle, except for a few. But Alicia Fox as a wrestling manager, like what's going on with Kazarian, sometimes he'll wrestle, but most of the time he's a manager. Leave it exactly as it is. The next person that I would have as a manager, and right now she's on the roster, but she's doing one position right now. She is the announcer, Christy Hemme. Christy Hemme, I know she's our best announcer. I love her. She has a beautiful voice. She's gorgeous when she stands in the ring. Who could get tired of that gorgeous redhead? But I would have her once in a while manage. She can be taken off the announcer position, the just announcing, to be a manager periodically. Say maybe once every 6 months for somebody that they ask her to do it. She can do it maybe a month program as a manager. She doesn't have to involve herself. I know that there was a point, I think she actually broke her neck. I could be wrong. Please tell me below if Christy Hemme actually broke her neck. I think she did. But if she didn't, the point here is that she would make a good manager. Have her periodically be a manager from time to time, from woman or man. But as a heel, I've seen her do a little bit of heel work. She's not bad. So have her as that. And finally, as a female heel manager, it will be someone from the WWE. Someone that was not bad, who helped spark the wonderful, glorious career of the Spot Monkey, who basically got screwed by her later. Literally, guys, he tried to let them have fun with her. She got over more than him. Then he got the shits, and then he got fired from WWE. Melina. Yes, I bring in Melina as a manager. She started out with Eminem, with John Morrison. It makes perfect sense. She can do a good manager. She started out as one. She's also a very good wrestler. So she can switch between wrestling and managing very easily. She can be good enough of a heel to piss everyone off, and she would be perfect in that role. And I would leave her periodically jumping between healing and managing. And sucking. I'm sorry. That wasn't nice. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Don't mean to be so nasty. But now we're going to the managers who are faces. The first one, who is the heads of the Knockouts, Brooke Hogan. Brooke Hogan right now is managing Bully Ray. There's no way we can deny it. That is his woman, but that is his manager. She may not stand at the edge of the ring and cheer on her man, but she is a manager. I wouldn't have a wrestle. It would be great to have a wrestle, and you could say that maybe later, after she becomes a real manager, she could become a wrestler. But I would probably leave her as a manager because I think she would do much better in that position. The next person, which is the last one right now, would be Terrell. Currently, she's our female ref for the Knockouts, but I don't believe that Tina is going to leave her there forever, and I wouldn't either. I would transition her out of that position into a manager. She has a good look. She has a nice voice. She might actually be able to get someone over. The segment she had with Gail Kim didn't seem that bad. She could be basically the Valley Girl type. Kind of like a Sunny when she was a good girl for Legion of Doom. That is what I would do for her. Now, if things didn't work out, I can always turn her back into a ref. There's nothing wrong with it. As a ref, she doesn't really have a bias. She can't be heel or face. She just got to do it down the middle as any ref would do. Unlike what happened with, I'm not even going to say his name. Forget it. Forget it. Forget about Hefner. Forget it. Now, you now heard my heels. You now heard my faces. You now heard my manager heel and faces. Now I'm going to talk about a little bit about the storylines for some of them. There's no way I'm going to be able to come up with everything that you'll like in the possible storylines, but this is a possibility. Now, when it comes to Natalya and it comes to Beth Phoenix, when the Knockouts is restarted, you could say that they could be friends and they could actually do a tag team. This is what I would do in the very beginning. You would have Natalya and you would have Beth Phoenix as a face tag team. They would be facing someone like, I would have a tessmacher and I would have an Angelina Love. It's not about getting the heels and the faces over at that moment. This is only about trying to split the Divas of Destruction apart and start a fight. You could say at that moment, you would have them fighting another team, and then you would see that Natalya would be pissed off that Beth Phoenix would get over more by the crowd. Eventually it would continue until those two actually had a match. And Beth would win. They still seem like friends and everything. But then when they matched up again in a tag team, and it would be a heel tag team, and I'd probably put Hendrix and SoCal Val as a tag team against them, Beth would basically get buried. I would have Beth get her ass kicked, and Natalya walks away. And that is how I would start. 1, Natalya as a heel, and 2, I would have the conflict between her and Beth. We didn't really see a conflict between the two in the WWE, but I would promote that in TNA. Next, we would have Mickie James face to heel turn. And how would I do that? I would have her having a friend in Tessmacher. And Tessmacher would go to the ring with her when she had to face a Terra. That would be for the championship. Let's say that Terra was going after, still had the championship, and Mickie Jane and Tessmacher were friends. But Mickie Jane gets pissed off because Terra cheats. And Tessmacher, who tried to point it out to the ref, which would probably be Terrell at the time, you don't know, I may still have her before she switches, would basically feel like she's screwed, and then would go after Tessmacher, attack her flat. And this would be culminating in all the times that Mickie Jane has been losing and losing and losing for the last 9 months, let's say. No, last year, because she was gone for about 3 months. Between the time that before she left because of injury and came back, right now Mickie Jane has not been pushed. She sucks. So every loss and loss and loss would finally culminate in her snapping and being so effing pissed off that she would snap on Miss Tessmacher. And then she leave. And then eventually Tessmacher would get back at her, try to, but then you would see the lesbian craziness come out. As she beats the crap out of Tessmacher, she cops a feel. And then she licks her lips. And then you would see the lesbian heel finally come out. And we'd go from there with Mickie Jane. Next, Rosita. Rosita and Sarita would sound like the best mix to go up against each other. And you'd be right. But I would probably have Sarita and Velvet Sky going with Rosita and Angelina Love. This would be, no, it didn't matter about heels and faces. Excuse me. It would be just these two women going up against each other. And you see Sarita and Rosita in the ring, facing one another. Not interested in trying to do anything. But then you would see Sarita getting over. And Rosita didn't like that. And Rosita would screw her. And that is how it would start. But the thing is that it would start on one person's show. It would start Velvet Sky's show, where Angelina Love, Rosita, and Sarita would be there. And I would basically have Angelina Love there as the catalyst for the real conflict. She would be the one that would start Rosita down the path of the dark side. Even though it would sound like Sarita would be the best one, she would say, you know what, at least I'm natural. At least I got real titties. And Angelina Love would take offense to that, even though they are fake. We already know that. If they're real, someone leave me down a comment below and tell me, because as far as I know, they are fake. Because if I remember correctly, she was flatter before she left. I mean, thicker before she left. At one point, she was flatter back in 07 or 06, and now she was like this in 010, 11. So someone tell me below. But essentially, that would be the catalyst for her to start with Angelina Love. And for Velvet Sky, who had not turned heel yet, Sarita would be the one to start with her. Because she would be trying to defend Angelina Love, Sarita. And Velvet Sky would be hitting her as well as Rosita. And that's how those two would start. And you would clearly see who is face and who is heel. Now, let's see. For Lita, you could interchange her into any type of feud, counting if you want her heel or face. So I won't really mention it. For the Alicia Fox, really I'm going to leave the managers alone, because I'm thinking about who would be best for them. And if I am going to be doing a Knockouts version 3, part 3 or part 4, part 3 would have more better storylines, and then part 4 will be bringing in independents to join the ones that are already there. I'm going to leave that alone. So this is my debate of the week on rebuilding the Knockouts part 2. And I hope you enjoyed the ZANE'S View. Subscribe and comment to my channel. And I hope you enjoyed this. Leave me a comment down below who you would have in your list of heels and faces, who you would have as managers that would from time to time wrestle or do something else like announce or be the ref. So have a good night, and this is done around the time of Elimination Chamber. I will be doing my Elimination Chamber review as soon as possible. Have a good night.